wrong one. Welcome to the Theatre of the Mind. It is live 234, I think. It's a very special day today. Right, that's done. Yes. Let me just do this. Right, I think I'm just about there. Lighting slightly different this evening, a little bit more ambiance for the time of the year. But let me just, yes. It's been a very busy old day today. Lots going on. Right, let's get rid of that. It's going to ask me to that. And then, right, I think I'm ready. Set a spokesperson. That's going to... is that better? Yeah, a little bit, I think. Let's just do that. Right, I think we're there. Welcome to the Body of the Kirk, live 234. It's a very special day today. I will explain in a moment. Got some emails I want to read out tonight from the anonymous emailers. Look, call me biased, but I have laughed all day today. Non-stop laughing all day today. Why? I'm on steroids. So me and Lynn Ford, we can run 100 metres in 9.6 seconds. Well, the Great North Run, or the Great Mackham Run. I'll tell you about that. If you're not understanding what I'm saying, I will tell you in a moment. But right, let's get to parish notes. Welcome to everybody that is in the Body of the Kirk already. Make sure you get your feet under the pews, the starmers. Why do we call the pews the starmers? Because they're hard on your arse. Don't forget we have pals rings for your comfort if you need them. And there is plenty of Battenberg tonight. We've had Sister Mary's been to Costco. She's bought a whole box of them. So free Battenberg as and when you feel like it. Altar wine. It's becoming a little cold in the evening, so we may start putting the hot water urn on in the kitchen of the Body of the Kirk, just so you can have something a little warmer. You can have mulled wine. It's getting to that time of the year, if you so wish. If you fancy a little alcoholic, I'm not quite sure if you can see that. That's my mulled wine. It's called hibiscus. You're wrong. God's gift. Right, let's just cover my chest up. I can't have Sister Mary swooning and getting rather faint with her big dog dick. Sister Mary is in and about the Body of the Kirk this evening. I'm not. Do you know? And breathe. I have been to the doctor's this afternoon, and she said, "Are you sure you've got a cock?" Sorry. Freudian slip there, Mr. Allen. She said to me, do you have a cough, Mr. Allen? And actually, I preferred the first one. And I said, well, yes, it's every time the adrenaline hits my lungs, it makes me cough. She said, well, you're not coughing now. I said, you haven't made the adrenaline hit my lungs yet. Control Alt Delete. Mulled wine's tank. Mulled wine, especially when you're skiing, it just Jägermeister is much better as a shot. 1, 2, 3, woof. Or mulled wine. Go to the German market. The Austrian mulled wine is fantastic. Actually, I think I'm going to get told off when I finish this. What was that you said about there? No, nothing, darling. It was just one of those Freudian slips. I've heard about your Freudian slips before, along with your Freudian suspenders. Albert Metcalf's in the Body of the Kirk. Hello, everyone. Evening, Albert. Welcome, Albert Tatlock. Neil Cunningham was first in the Body of the Kirk this evening. Neil says, "Good evening, one and all." Is the king closer to the end than we think? Ginger Nuts seems desperate to reconcile all of a sudden before it's too late. Yeah, where's the money going to go? Right, I've had a lot. I'll tell you later. Les Griffiths, I live in Hope, Neil. Yeah, not only is well-hung lesbian fingers, Charles the Weak, being a bit, well, he doesn't like confrontation at all, does he? But here's the second question. Where's the Queen Consort? When was the last time you saw her? Well, it's Billy and his missus, Catherine, Katie, or Kathy, if you wish. Oh, it just coats the larynx. So I know they're putting Billy and Catherine forward a little bit more, so the transition will be less jarring when well-hung lesbian goes off to wherever we go off to. Stuart says, evening, Adrian. Hope you're well. Sister Mary said she applied for a job as your YouTube manager. Oh, Stuart, don't give me bad news, man. It's bad enough for her running the bloody body of the Kirk. She wants to be paid in curly whirlies. Best not to ask why. Well, maybe Sister Mary's big dog Dick likes a curly whirly. I was always told that Sister Mary loved Switzerland. At least, I think that's what I was told. What was it? She loved Switzerland. She no doubt. No, I know what it was. Sister Mary said she loved Toblerone, and I was like, really, Sister Mary, Toblerone? Doesn't that go? I'll leave that with your imagination. If you get the gag, you'll probably spit your tea out. Des Ashton, good evening, fellow devotees of ye old Battenberg principle. Is the end nigh? Whose end? Weekend? Probably is after all the running around I've done today. Oh, welcome to the body of the Kirk, Des. Always good to have you here. And Fatal Racing Driver, evening, Fatal Racing Driver. Good to see you in the body of the Kirk. And Tom Harney's, evening all, as a wrong philosopher once said, Battenberg is not for the faint of heart, and neither is the body of the Kirk. So you want to know why, and there's Phil the Van, welcome Phil the Van, evening. Andrew James, if I remember, Fergie was so smug during the Royal Knockout, I bet she was. Is that a euphemism? Oh, bless. Les Griffith says, Andrew, I remember Edward's face afterwards when he asked the press what they thought and they laughed in his face. Ah, well, karma is a bitch. Control Alt Delete. Thank you for your support and kindness. Really appreciate it. Stuart says, unfortunately, I do get the gag, and even worse, Toblerone is my favourite. White Toblerone. I can be bribed with white Toblerone, let me tell you. Mind you, I then go into a diabetic coma and could possibly die. So it's not funny, but I would, what a way to go. As Sister Mary once said. Or at least that's what she said. Hi from France, Jean-Marc Bordeaux. Oh, I say. Welcome to the body of the Kirk, Jean-Marc. Oi, 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 oi. Are you Jean-Marc an expat? Alan says, Jean-Marc, welcome to the body of the Kirk. Alan says, evening, Wrong'uns, hope you're all well. And Jean-Marc says, I have no idea what this channel is about. Me too, Jean-Marc, and I think you'll find everybody in the body of the Kirk has no clue whatsoever. But we will help you in that we do like Battenberg. That's the cake, not the family. And it is revered in this particular Church of the Holy Sepulchre, where we just look after everyone's health. I'm sure the font where we baptize the children and very small people is one of those places where it is revered, it is sacred, and you get your Battenberg before you go in there, so the font smells quite fragrant. Maybe one day. Stuart Shane Hall, evening. Robert Eddington, evening for the second time. Robert, I'll still pop your cherry for you. I think Jean-Marc may be traumatised by what we do here in the Body of the Kirk, but Jean-Marc, you are most welcome to the Body of the Kirk. I am genuinely the Reverend Adrian Allen, and I, Sunday through Wednesday, do a sermon from the pulpit of truth. But this evening, I have to tell you, it is, it is a very special day. Why is it a special day? It feels like a deadline day, but I have no idea why. Well, you know that it's the 9th day of the 9th month in a 9-year, and live 2, 3, 4 is a 9. If you're into numerology, you'll kind of get all this. 9 is sacred. So we've got 4 9s, 36, another 9. So we are complete in the universe. We are complete. The 9 number is a very special and magical number. So it's a magical day. Magical 9. And if you see Sister Mary and that big dog dick of hers, just tell her to get back in here and get the hot water run going, because it's a little cold. Not that we're size queens. And also, Jean-Marc, you have to be quick of thought in the Body of the Kirk, because we rattle through some good old stories and good old things to talk about. And the Body of the Kirk is very interactive. We like everyone. Look, before I start, hang on a second. See that? Just in case I fall asleep, I'm going to... that's how to give it a good 5-finger shake. I'm going to stop this if it kills me. So I went to see the doctor this afternoon, and the doctor said, hello, Mr. Allen. Yes, we saw the theatre of the mind. You have a cough. I said, yeah, every time the bloody adrenaline kicks into me lungs and I start speaking, I start coughing. Oh, give me the drugs. Oh, that's cruel for me diabetes. It's just packed with sugar. But it will settle down my coughing. So she said, right. She did all the testing and stuff that doctors do. And she said, well, I'll give you some antibiotics. And but while you're doing that, do you want a sniffer? I said, what, as in Zelensky? And she went, pardon? I said, you're offering me something to sniff. And she was like, no, I'm going to give you steroids. I said, oh, me and Lynn Ford. Hang on a second. Me and Floorjaw. Yeah, I'll run as quick as Floorjaw. I was quick, sir. I was a 10.5 second man at 100 metres, believe it or not, in my youth. I did, 7.1 seconds for an indoor 60 metres. Now, anybody that's kind of done athletics and runs will know how quick or how slow it was. The world record was 6.6, but I was like 10 yards off the world record. And 10 yards in 60 metres, you may as well just sit and have a cup of tea because you're not going to get anywhere. So the Simon this evening. So antibiotics and steroids. Honestly, I'm going to be able to run 100 metres in 2 seconds flat. Oh, yeah. The hibiscus is kicking in. So's the Benylin, and so's the steroids, and so's the antibiotics. Oh my God, if I start dancing, I'll rattle. So we're going to talk about the royals tonight, because we have some, seemingly, a royal family, if that's what they call themselves. I want to tell you about the Great Mackham Run. I will explain the difference between a Geordie and a Mackham. A Geordie is simply a Mackham with his brains bashed in. But the great Northeastern Run, the biggest half marathon in the world, seemingly 60,000 people. We'll talk about that. I still can't stop laughing. We're going to talk about Labour, because they're sexist. Labour, the Labour Party, the Labour government. They're sexist. I'll tell you how. Supertramp. Can you remember the band Supertramp? We're going to do some music stuff tonight, because it is a Tuesday evening, so we don't have to be as hard, metaphorically, as Sunday and Wednesday. So we'll I think we'll do kind of semi songs, because there's nothing like a good semi on a Tuesday night. We're going to talk about the BBC. The BBC's Director General Tim Davies. Oh, I say. Oh, my word. You'll never guess what's coming out. Not out, but out. We're going to talk about Labour's two-tier, three-gear, queer as fork Starmer, the backdoor boy. We're going to talk about him tonight as well. And, well, it's the 3rd anniversary of Queen Elizabeth II's passing. Now, I didn't realise she played for England, but I'm sure she was a very good winger because her passing was exemplary. And we're going to talk about Israel. It's bombed Qatar. Not as in Qatar, after you've had a fag. No, Qatar, the place in the Middle East. We're also going to talk about, well, the French are buggered. As much as they would like that, the French are buggered. We'll tell you a little bit later. And not a first for their President Macron. We do have a en français, mais oui. I mean, I am quite fluent in French. La Tour Eiffel, Michel Platini, and oui. Doesn't get me far in a French restaurant, but I think it's not bad. We've got Epstein's birthday book. Oh, my word. The auto pen was the pubic hair. When I explain it, you'll understand. And the Doom Goblin, oh, she's not very happy. I mean, I wouldn't be happy with a haircut like that. Jesus, I'd rather wear a bloody wig. Have you seen it? Whoosh, 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 whoosh. Bet you didn't look like that when Leonardo DiCaprio was banging out. My lips didn't move. My lips didn't move. What are you talking about, Adrian? Doom Goblin? Leonardo DiCaprio? Oh, yes, I've seen the pictures. Well, maybe she's needing to stay relevant because she's not doing anything about my childhood. You've ruined my bloody childhood, says multimillionaire Doom Goblin. And what do you mean, who am I talking about? Greta, the Thunberg. Doom Goblin. She's now switched over to Palestine, Gaza, or whatever they're calling it tomorrow. And we've got more references to the digital ID. Do you want to know what happened to the £1,000 that EE didn't pay us? I'll tell you a little bit later. So welcome to the body of the Kirk. Is it? Oh yes, we're past the hallowed hour of 7:30. As a little aside, I am trying to get a copy of a radio show that I presented on the BBC, which was a ghost hunt, and it was that's why I'm enunciating my words very carefully. It was a ghost hunt, and just before you think, hang on, has he got in lisp again? That's made me juggle for 2 days. I swear to goodness. And within this sort of ghost hunt at a disused mine in the northeast of England, we had proper ghosts. I mean, I have to say, I had the willies put up me. It was a first, and it wasn't a pleasant experience. We had table tipping. We had various things. We had the sound of a child, sound of a baby, literally in the middle of, miles from nowhere, in the middle of nowhere, and the baby started crying. There were no babies on the team. So I'm trying to get a copy of that for October 31st. Halloween. And November the 5th. So I want to play you it. There'll be no visuals, obviously, but it was 20 years ago on the BBC. Quite groundbreaking. I'm trying to get a copy of it. I think the BBC have archived all of their programmes digitally. So I'm going to see if I can get a copy. And I'm also going to see if I can get a copy of my David Icke interview from 2004, I think it was. 2004, 2005. So things going on in the background, but let's start with the Simon this evening, if I can press the right button. So the Royals. Biggest Dickus, the ginger one, sphericals, ginger, not growler, gonads. They're saying on the front of the, I don't know what I've done with the newspaper now, they're saying that Billy and Harry are a chasm. 7 miles apart. I mean, who gives a flying? I mean, would you not agree that betrayal is possibly the bitterest pill ever to have to swallow? But so there's Ginger Gonads. He's put his book out, Spare. I mean, obviously the next book is going to be Spare. Maybe. Spare. No, I'm not going to do that gag. That's no. Don't, Adrian. Don't. I'll be taken off air. So Ginger Sphericals is over here for show me the money. Because he's maybe running out of it. I mean, I don't know how many millions he's got, or her. But there's some kind of rumour going around that, you know, her, what's it called? Our here? That's Northeastern for over here, just in case I need to translate it into French. And her Netflix show's being cancelled. Honestly, I can't laugh hard enough. So let me tell you something. Ginger Sphericals obviously wants to stay close to Papa, not Daddy, Papa, as Papa calls him dear boy and never son. I've no idea why that is. But I will tell you, and as I've said to you before, the royal family, as in the monarch, goes up to Scotland third week in January, has Royal Week in Edinburgh, where they have garden parties and they meet all the good folk and the dearest folk and the politicians that they have to glad hand, and then they bugger off to Balmoral for a month because they graft a bit, seemingly. And Charlie's still up there. It's September, man. They only go up there for August, like 5 weeks-ish, last week in July, all the way through to August, and then they normally come back, well, end of August. And, well, there's Ginger Sphericals. Dad, Dad, Dad. And then all these blokes turn around going, who, me? Look, Diana, she banged like a barn door in a storm at one point. But, you know, we don't judge on this channel. We don't. There is a conspiracy theory that she didn't die in the car crash. That she had plastic surgery and she's gone off to live her life. Utter bollocks. So he's over here seemingly for 4 days. Yesterday, today, tomorrow, Thursday, he baggers off. And I think it was somebody in the chat there says, oh, no. He's over here just to see what he's going to get in the will. Because, well, you know, at that level, it's worth millions, if not billions. Because Papa is, the King, Charles the Weak, is a multi-billionaire. Oh, Neil, that's cruel. Diana, 90s Bonnie Blue. Well, there have been people quoted in the newspapers, mainly the News of the World, saying that she ruined her marriage. Will Carling, anyone? Wookfit, Chuck the Turd is travelling back to London at the moment. Oh, I say. So is Charles the Weak, the well-hung lesbian, going to have a meeting with his son? It's all this kind of will he, won't he? It's not, Bruce Willis and Sybil Shepherd. Will they, won't they? Moonlighting. That was the best will they, won't they? But, wow. You know, money does weird things to people. If they're, the technical term that I use, shite orcs. When somebody is getting close to death and they're sort of hanging around to see what they're going to get in the will, shite orcs. And then when somebody dies, they're like, oh, can I take this and can I take that? And how much money did they leave? So I don't know whether Charles the Weak, the well-hung lesbian, has actually written him out of the will, because we never find out the monarch's will. We never found out Queen Elizabeth II's or Philip's. Nobody knows how much money they've got, and nobody knows what they pass on. No. Unlike my own father, who wrote me out of my will. Nice man. The king will meet the bastard son. Be churlish not to. Do you think? Oh, hello, Ginger Sphericals. How is one? Yes, the king is not very well. We're not sure how long I've got. And oh, by the way, I've written you out of the will. Yeah, caring, understanding, 90s type. How do we end, shite man? Because look, in private, the king talks like that. He's very adept at both accents and languages, seemingly. Well, he can affect a Muslim accent. He can affect a Macam accent. How do we end, shite man? And, well, when he gets angry, it just all comes out. Unlike his son. No translation to Jean. What's going on? And to those that have never been to the Body of the Kirk before, I tend to interact with the comments. So if you leave comments, if I get chance and I see it, I will interact with it, because my background is in late night and lunchtime phone-ins on radio. Some people in Australia will call it talkback. Some people will call it speech radio, talk radio, which is a great film starring Eric Bogosian. If you've never seen Talk Radio, it actually, I watched it in the Northeast. 20, when did I get sacked? 1989. So it's been around for quite a while. But the film is an archetype of how it is to be a late night phone-in, and Eric Bogosian, the actor, has the most wonderful radio voice. And you get all the characters, all the usual characters that you get in late night phone-ins, all the mad things and the characters and the wonderful entertainers. So if you've never seen the film Talk Radio, was it Oliver Stone that made it? I can't remember who directed it, but it's if you want an insight into what it's like doing a late night phone-in, that's the one. The king talks to plants, but ignores plant pots. Unlucky Harry. That's funny. Worked in media and only... What? I say, Jean-Marc, how are you? Yeah. So, you see, what happens is, if anybody's a fuckwit and they try to play with me, you can play with me in silence. But it's always with two hands, Jean-Marc. And if you understand English, you're caring, understanding 90s type. How do we in shite? So I would say Talk Radio is one to watch. So thank you to everyone in the Body of the Kirk. I've been nice to someone I shouldn't have been nice to. So that will end tonight. So the Ranty Rev might make a debut, including about the fucking Royals. So where's Queen Consort Camilla? What's she up to? Horseface. But I am sick and tired of the mainstream media just talking utter rollicks, because we're not interested whether they're 7 miles apart. William's getting on and doing adult stuff, and Ginger Sphericals is getting on doing children's stuff, as in, I will squeam and squeam and squeam. Well, don't speak, you dummy. Go back to America and your missus and your two hired children. Yeah, you never see the faces, do you? Only the ginger hair. Well, it's like they're his, but they're not hers. They're not her oven. Didn't come out of her oven. One of the most legendary things to happen in... I mean, I did my first Great North Run in 1983. And loved doing it. I've done 7 or 8 of them. Loved them. Did it for charity, raised quite a bit of money. But this year's Great North Run, the world's biggest half marathon, they're now coining it the Great Mackham Run. And why is that? Well, when you finish the 13.5 miles and you get to about the 12-mile mark, and all of a sudden you have a really steep bank to go down onto the seafront, and then you run a mile to the finish line. And it's always that, I mean, I don't know how people do it, but running down that bank, you get to the bottom, and it's kind of a hard stop before you turn left and run along the seafront. But it just knackers your legs. And then you've still got a mile to go. And that mile takes hours to do, because it's just every step is painful. But not this year. Oggy, oggy, oggy. Oi, oi, oi. Not this year. This year, all of those that crossed the finish line, and well done to them. If they've raised money for charity, absolutely fantastic. If it was just yourself against a half marathon and you either beat your best time or managed to do something, a personal best in some way, shape or form, congratulations. Except, well, normally the route is Newcastle to South Shields. Newcastle to South Shields. That's how they pronounce it in the Northeast. But it wasn't. Dear God, it couldn't get any funnier. I kind of mentioned it last night. But in the Metro, in the newspaper, they called Brendan Foster Sir Graham Foster. Oh, the ignominy of being called Sir Graham Foster. It'll have been some 20-year-old just off their night on the gear and just thinking, oh, yeah, I'll just finish this off before I go and have more ketamine and lie down. And they called him Sir Graham Foster. Oi, 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 oi. The guy that invented the Great North Run-ish with other people. But I guarantee you that they've obviously looked at the route and gone, right, so it's kind of from one part of the river in the northeast, and then it ends near the mouth of the river in the northeast. On the middle, it's kind of Newcastle in the north and South Shields in the south. That's why it's called South Shields. But it's not. It's the River Wear, not the River Tyne. That medal even has the Stadium of Light as the finishing line on it. I can't stop laughing. Those poor, they've knocked their pipe out for 13.5 miles. They've probably done 3 months training for it, hoping to get one of those special medals right at the end, which gives you the route from Newcastle. It's the more north part of Newcastle, outside of the city, on the motorway, and you go across the Tyne Bridge, and you get to South Shields. Knackered. No. It started on the north of the Wear, which is slightly different from the Tyne. The fog on the Tyne is all mine, all mine. The fog on the Tyne is all mine, why you bugger? But it was the Wear. So they started north of the Wear and run to the mouth, nearly the mouth, who ran to the Stadium of Light. I literally can't stop laughing. So it's a collector's item, that's for sure. But River Wear, all the Geordies would be like, oh no, that game Mackhams again, and all the Mackhams are like, let's all laugh at the Geordies. So I mean, I had a place in this year's half marathon, but I didn't do any training for it for a myriad of reasons. And the finish line was not the Stadium of Light. It was in South Shields. I mean, to be fair, South Shields would have looked beautiful in the sunshine, and it's right on the coast, a beautiful area of the northeast. Can we do some reverse sexism now? Because, well, the Labour Party, I mean, they're just it's getting worse and worse and worse for them. I mean, I'm going to talk about Starmer and his poll rating. I don't think we've got step ladders far enough down to see where his poll rating is at the moment. Having childhood memories of swimming in the Wear. Oh, blimey, Les. Yeah, me too, but it was filthy at that point. Lindisfarne, a little bit Northumbria, Alan, and Lindisfarne is beautiful. Been there many times. Absolutely breathtaking. And the band's not bad either. Lady Eleanor, there's a song for you. Is it just me sitting here practicing saying Newcastle to South Shields? Yeah, it is Newcastle. There's no T in Newcastle. 2 S's. Newcastle to South Shields. I hope you practice Hadaway and Shite, Amalia. I hope you're using it on a daily basis. Laird Wookfit said, I caught gastroenteritis working on the Wears riverbanks. Was pissing out my arse for weeks. Not at first, eh, Terry? Not at first. See, that's why we have funny expressions in Sunderland, because we've been that and it doesn't affect us. Gastroenteritis. We thought it was Latin for, have you caught any fish yet? Paulie Galdieri, Ukrainian Pole smoker Starmer. Oh, Paulie. Les Griffith says, Durham City in the 1960s, the water was clear. Beautiful. I mean, Durham is breathtaking. Land of the Prince Bishops, if I may be so bold. Sid James Park has a place in his park just for you, says Des Ashton. What, Sid James? I can't even do the laugh. Ian McGee, as a kid, I enjoyed swimming in the Mersey with those special goldfish, oh, I say, in the Mersey. I've been through the Mersey Tunnel quite a few times. She even tipped me at the end. The U Bovril, welcome, and Laird Wookfit. Yeah, mate, I was working a couple of miles upriver from Sunderland. That'll have been nearly County Durham, or was it Washington? What are you saying? It's the pronunciation. Sunderland, 2 U's and the D is silent. Newcastle, no T. And South Shields, well, as you say it. Bloody hell, David Graham. I know somebody who swam next to Roker Pier in Sunderland. Were they mad or pissed? Sorry, different to the Americans. He wasn't upset, just shitted. But then again, so were the swimmers in the triathlon a couple of years ago. They all caught it, a bit like Laird Wookfit. They caught something from swimming in the mouth of the weir. It'd be interesting to see if they go back and swim there. Washington Wildfowl Park, as was then. Oh, blimey, Terry. I remember that. Walked that many times. Many times. Anyway, shall we talk about Labour's reverse sexism? What do you mean, what's that? They've now come out. Well, I wonder when Sir Keir Starmer eventually does. But they've come out and said, oh, the new Deputy Prime Minister must be female. Surely you just want to pick somebody who does the job, who does makes a decent fist of the job. Brilliant. Les Griffiths. In Newcastle, they think gastroenteritis is fine dining. That's actually quite funny. Amalia says, feck, stop worrying me. Son training for triathlon. Oh, well, the bike's fine. Well, I'm sure they've cleaned the weir just for the triathlon. But when they go swimming, you never know. And like you're swimming behind people, they could be doing anything. In the water, has Theo Bovril just managed to get into the body of the Kirk tonight? Yeah, Robin. Theo Bovril. But if you've got more important things, of course. David Graham, by the way, hope nobody swims in the Thames in London because of the pollution in the Thames. Yeah, you don't see many fish. Dear. Napoleon Bonaparte says we need to get back to the best man for the job. Exactly. Or best man, best woman, whatever. But they're just being reverse sexist, Labour. All the women are chucking their hats in the ring. Chucking their hats in the ring? Since when have you seen a Labour female MP wear a hat? Well, some of them might, actually, because, you know, I'm sure the Labourites know exactly where Mr. Wobbly hid his hat. If you don't know the gag, I'm not explaining it. So they're saying that the deputy must be female. Why? Chick with a dick? Because none of them know what constitutes a woman. How can they say that? That's reverse sexism. And they're all bloody woke. And on Ozempic. Surely it's best candidate for the job. I mean, there's Jess Phillips, protector of all things female in this country. They don't even know what a female is. They don't know how to describe them. No. But so far, 4 women have chucked their hats in the ring. That's the ring, metaphorical, not their ring, before you start. Only women have applied, but they're tone deaf, Labour. They are literally tone deaf. Over the weekend, because they don't want any reform reporting, they don't want anybody to think that Nigel's going to be the next Prime Minister. No, that clown, no! That's the Labour Party, of course. And isn't there an irony that the Labour Party are talking about clown Nigel when there's a full bloody circus going on in number 10? Ditching St. Ginger Growler. How could they do that? And I'm telling you something. There will be people in the Labour Party, because remember, there's 2 different parts. There's the Labour Party, who is the workers' party, and they do absolutely go for the workers. It's more like for the elites, so we can just shove our knickers or our back pockets full of the old moolah, the old greenbacks. And it spawned all this infighting. Now, I know that Labour is full of spawn of the devil, but there's all this, they've spawned infighting. They're all at each other's throats. And there's Jess Phillips. I'll mention her again. In my view, singularly, the most inept and useless politician who was given a brief and didn't know what to do with the brief. And I'm not talking about those little panties that women wear, or budgie smugglers, if you wish. Can you imagine Labour male politicians wearing budgie smugglers? I'm going to leave that with you, because that will traumatise you all night. Keir Starmer, budgie smugglers. I'll leave it with you. But they're just, I mean, it is completely beyond me. As in Mario beyond me. He's a jazz singer from Sicily, before you ask. So, I want to talk about that. I just want to put that on your radar. So when you watch the reportage and you watch all this brown stuff coming out of the gobs of Labour politicians. Oh, yes, well, we've chosen 4 women. The wokerati. I mean, look at Growler. Growler was corrupt. evident by not paying all her bloody taxes and pointing the finger at other people. Oh, yeah, the bloody Tories, the bloody Tories. She's standing up at the dispatch box in place of Sir Keir and was like, like a bloody fishwife. And, whoa, she was 40 G's light when she paid her taxes, stamp duty. Can you imagine being 40 G's light and then trying to argue your way out of that? How do we and shite, you corrupt arse. So, I mean, they're not going to give it to Andy Burnham, surely. Did you hear about the bloke who fell in love with a pair of ladies' niggers? Sadly, it turned out to be a brief relationship. David, I'm going to put you on a timeout. That gag was a little bit funny, but is that the best you've got? Napoleon blown apart. All this corruption over there, I just want to put headphones on and shut it out with 70s music. For feck's sake. Talking of which, Napoleon blown apart, you must have been reading my mind. Let's talk about Supertramp. Not Super Tramp, but Supertramp. Because one of the originators, Rick Davies, has passed away over the last 24 hours or so. And I thought, you know, before I do the Body of the Kirk this evening, I'm going to have a listen to some Supertramp songs. And I am going to, we are going to open it up to the comments for you to respond. But if I said, can you remember the Logical song, Supertramp? Or can you remember Dreamer, Nothing But a Dreamer? Putting your hands in the air, oh no. Or It's Raining Again. Goodbye Stranger, what a great song. Fantastic lyrics. Breakfast in America and Give a Little Bit. Give a Little Bit is the most listened to on Spotify. And it was, so I thought, oh, that's a bit sad. He was 81, which is no age. And I wish him Godspeed to wherever we go to. But the legacy that he's left behind with Supertramp, it's very, very understated, because Supertramp were never one of those edgy bands. They were just great wordsmiths and songsmiths. Stephen Hall remembers both songs. Take the Long Way Home, Vix Tex, what a great song. What a great song. Napoleon Blown Apart, I saw them in 74 at Slough Community Centre. Great live band. Crime of the Century LP, still got it, says Alan. I didn't realise that there were so many Supertramp fans in the Body of the Kirk. Breakfast in America cover, 9/11 when viewed in a mirror. Ooh, Paulie Galtieri, nice conspiracy. And I see you. Great memories. Tom Harney's Can You Put Your Hands in Your Head? Oh, no. Amalia, you'll be pleasantly surprised. It's kind of, I don't know whether they call it yacht rock now. It's kind of one of those AOR, kind of mid AOR, maybe album radio stations in America, but it just evokes sunshine and the great America. But they were British. They were a British band. Fab band and classic track, says Paul Morton. So I'm going to ask you a couple of questions. Because Rick Davies passed away at 81. And I'm thinking, with all the dietary advances that we've had, all the fitness advances we've had since the 60s, what is a good age now? What would you say is a good age? Making your 60s? Is that a good innings? Or average, they say, in the 70s? Would you say that making your 80s is about right for our generation? Because seemingly we're supposed to make 10 years beyond our mum and dad. And if you get to your 90s or 100, is that absolutely bob on? You've had a good life. 99 3/4, says Alan. I remember that movie about a radio station. Which one's that, Stephen? Talk radio? Oh, no. WKRP. Was it WKRP, the TV station? With Laurie, not Laurie Anderson, the blonde that went on to partner Burt Reynolds. 80s, said Stuart. So if you kind of make your 80s, that's kind of, well, you've had a good fair suck of the sauce bottle, as the Australians would say. Mid 60s upwards, depending on lifestyle and wealth. Yeah, you can buy anything. I mean, if you're, as Vladimir Putin and President Xi Jinping. So, oh, hang on. What's happened there? What the fuck? Sorry, I've just had to reload it, so I'm not quite sure what went on there. I'm a Gen X, won't hit my 80s. Brilliant, Phil Levan. My dad got to 88. Nice, so you might get 10 years beyond that. Can you imagine? Sitting there at 98 thinking, oh. I mean, would you want to be in a home with the elderly so you can just be a bit irascible, curmudgeonly? 80, after that, it's Gaga land for most, or pain, or incontinence pants, Paul. Napoleon Bonaparte. I was a teen in the 70s. That was my decade for music. I mean, the 70s was just, I mean, it had so much creativity. I reckon from Sergeant Pepper's, sort of 68, all the way through. Music was getting its boots on in the early 60s. Elvis, the King, yeah, maybe. I mean, shop and roll in the 50s changed the whole teen culture. But by the time you get to the 70s, we're getting into Motown, we're getting into cock rock with Led Zeppelin, we're getting into Bowie and various forms of rock, from heavy into Sweet and Slade, and then we get into the mid-70s, and then all of a sudden it's bloody disco. I mean, shake your groove thang, baby. And then we get into punk in 77. I mean, I know there was it Jubilee, the film, in 70? I read it in the Times, I think, in 76, and it was a proper punk film. It kind of heralded punk in 77. So if you think about all this tribalism in the 70s with music, it was changing every couple of years, and people were ducking and diving and dodging around, and it was the 60s expanded everyone's mind, but 70s music was just the creativity, the everything. And this was kids were being sort of insightful and wise, and writing songs and things that would be long beyond their years. I mean, maybe it was the recreational gear that they were using. But then we get into the 80s, and it kind of gets to, the new romantics at the beginning of the 80s. And then we get into stadium rock with Springsteen and Madonna and Prince. And I think it was there that we sort of lost our way. We got into Manchester. But what would you say was your tribe? We'll take it from Supertramp onwards, because it appears that there's a lot of fans of Supertramp in the body of the Kirk. What would be, or would have been, your tribe? Like I say, you've got Beatles into cock rock with Led Zeppelin. You've got glam rock with the Sweet and Slade and Mud and all the others. And then you get into kind of the disco in the mid-70s, which was, it ended up with an anti-disco movement in America. And then you get into punk, and then into new romantics right at the end of the 70s and the beginning of the 80s. What would you say was your tribe? I See You says, life was optimistic in the 70s. Not now. We can say that again. Tom Harney's my teenage years, the 70s. Ian Curtis, R.I.P. Oh, love. Vix Tex, love will tear us apart. Now that's a fucking song. Like, it just doesn't get any better from any genre. It's just man. Classic rock, says Fred Barker, Stewart, and now we have Taylor Swift, Sabrina Carpenter, and Ed Sheeran. Bet the managers make more money. I was into rock, but loved soul too, says Stephen Hall. Yeah, I mean, a bit like you, Stephen. The dance stuff in the 70s. I mean, some of the Motown that came out was just magnificent. But then again, there was some great AC/DC, Thin Lizzy. I mean, they knew how to blow an audience away, so to speak. Progressive rock or synth pop? Andrew James. Progressive rock, prog rock. Who would be? Yes, was prog rock-ish. Lindisfarne, as I mentioned a little earlier. Karina Jane says, 90s, definitely. No, we're talking about 70s, Karina Jane. You probably were too young. Soul and funk, Gary Shabot. Oh, the 70s. I mean, the early 70s, we had... I was listening to... just give me a second. His name will come back, because in my view, he's one of the greatest singers ever to live. Back Together Again. Back Together. Come on, Adrian. Back Together Again was... it's just not there. Back Together Again. I can't even remember the female singer. Wow. My head must be shredded tonight. I was a bit of a Mike Oldfield and Jean-Michel Jarre fan, says Alan. I worked in a record shop in 77. Can you imagine? Fred Barker. I don't believe anybody could be that lucky. Can you imagine the stuff that you were getting in? Oh, Roberta Flack and Donny Hathaway. Thank you, Terry. Roberta Flack and Donny Hathaway. Donny Hathaway, it's taken me like 50 years to get into him, but one of the best vocalists. You had Marvin Gaye around, you had Stevie Wonder around, but Donny Hathaway never ever got the plaudits that he deserved. And Roberta Flack, of course, she had a beautiful voice. But back together, 1980. Frankie Beverly, ghetto defending, right on the money. Joy and Pain, how's that for a 9-minute live, not recorded in the studio, live, Joy and Pain. Gary Shabbat's going to see Level 42 when I get back from my holiday the next night in Brighton Dome. Can't wait. Then at the end of the month, I'm going to see Heather Small in Eastbourne. Absolutely fantastic singer. She's got some pipes on her, Heather. I think I've got, was it Hot House? I think she was in a band called Hot House before she joined the M People, the Manchester People. And I've got a CD from early to mid 80s before she joined M People. What a set of chops on that woman. Fantastic. Alan says jazz funk. Me too. Well, Gary Shabbat's going to see Level 42. I hope they play Chinese Way and Love Meeting Love, and not the kind of pop-ish stuff that got them to be a big name in America, but some of the early stuff that they did was just beautiful, man. Beautiful. You know, Ian Anderson, he made the album Thick as a Brick because he was called prog rock. Really? Phil Levan? Dave Johnson? Yeah, bloody heck. Aren't there any punks here? Me, Amalia, me. I mean, I even, me and my mate Kev, we had dogs. So we just nicked the dog collar off the dogs. The dogs didn't know what was going on and wore them to school. And the teachers were like, what the bloody hell are you wearing? Oh, it's a dog collar, sir. It's a dog collar. Well, you can take that. Go off. I learned to dance to quick-step, foxtrot, sambas and waltzes with a girl in your arms. Oh, good bands and singers, words with beautiful songs. Lionel Layton. It's all coming back. I mean, you know, if you're light on your feet, there's a gag there somewhere. But Andrew James, venues in Eastbourne are great. My wife and I saw Go West on our honeymoon 8 years ago. They signed our LP as it was our honeymoon. Oh, who was the lead singer with Go West? God, I can see him. And do you know, the first time I saw Go West was on a can you remember Max Headroom? Can you remember that program in the 80s? It was kind of computer generated. Well, not originally, but Chris Mundy says, I had Adrian sausage today. Yeah, touch your toes. Karina Jane, something about you. Something about you? Level 42. Good song, but I kind of like their earlier stuff because it was a bit more loose and it wasn't so produced. Love, Meeting Love. Was it Love Times Love? Love Meeting Love. Just beautiful. I remember when Alvin Stardust was Shane Fenton. Yeah, he sounded like that. He can't even see me bloody mouth move now. Barry White. Peter Cox. Thank you, Stuart. Peter Cox, of course. And what a great voice. You know, there is a difference between a studio voice and a live voice. A studio voice, you have to be much more precise vocally. And the timbre, Timbre, of the voice has to be a little more pure. The live vocal, oh, you can rip it, you can just do so much more. But in my view, it's only my view, a studio voice has to be so much more precise. And Peter Cox had one of those studio voices, as did Barry White, the Walrus of Love, whom I met, and Glodine with the bloody, I mean, her fingernails were feet long. Starmer is a Max Headroom remodel. I don't think he's got that much personality. I see you. I think Max Headroom was much funnier. Oh, Tom Harney's Blitzkrieg Bop. Wonderful. This town ain't big enough for the both of us, says Napoleon Blown Apart. Sparks. Love it. They're still touring, you know. They're still making... I think they had a new album out a couple of months ago. They're still touring. We Close Our Eyes. Great song. Peter Cox. Can't get any better than Go West. And it was... what was he doing with that wrench in his hand? He had his like singlet vest on and his wrench. And it was just props. But what a great video. Cindy's birthday is the only one I knew from the Fenton era. I'm not old enough, Andrew, to remember Shane Fenton. Without auto-tune, most of today's acts wouldn't sell a single record. That's what I mean. You know, you had people like even Ian Curtis from Joy Division. Although it was a slightly gruffer vocal, anybody that was able to go into a studio and record their voice perfectly, I take my hat off. Because you know what it's like. Even if we go to church, we kind of just wobble all over the place trying to put a vocal down. The backstory of Badfinger, who wrote Without You, really interesting, says Alison. Badfinger were put together on Apple Records, weren't they? Was it the Beatles or was it Paul McCartney that did where's she gone? Did Without You? Go on, Alison, tell me if I'm right. Have I remembered that right? And I see you says, no, they're not musicians. I know, but even the Beatles had session musicians that come in and play some drums for Ringo when he was a bit wasted. It's these apocryphal stories from Rock and Roll Baby that just make it so much more interesting. The 90s was a good era, in my opinion, apart from your cough. I hope you're well. Thank you, Tom Murray. 70s had the most in it. The 90s, I mean, we started with Manchester and the Ibiza sound, and then we got into Brit pop, Brit funk, Brit everything in the mid-90s, and then we got into grunge, and then it's just kind of wasted away. I don't know what's happened to music. Remember when Bono called Blair and Brown the Lennon and McCartney of politics? What an utter wrong. I'd say worse than that, Paulie Gallieri. That boy needs his fucking head looking at. Blair and Brown. Have you heard about... Oh, hang on. So imagine two politicians, unrelated to anything that I've said so far this evening, and imagine that they had to have a dinner somewhere in London, and one politician says to the other politician, you can challenge me to be Prime Minister and we'll just unleash stuff, mate. Do you understand? Oh, well, aye, so I'm going to be Prime Minister, you're not. You can be the Chancellor, and then when I stand down after so many years, you can be Prime Minister if you want, but challenge me at your peril. I mean, I'm just making that up. So it just must have been in a dream that I dreamt once. I don't know where I got that from. It's from the film The Blair Witch Project. The House Martins. I meant the House Martins. And they were... It's amazing the amount of people that I met because of my radio stuff. How many were actually shy? I mean, Freddie was Freddie, as in Freddie Mercury. But still, he was shy. He was very private. Most of the stars are. It's these kids that are coming out and they're literally wearing next to now. The women, what are you looking at? What do you mean? Are you tit-talking? What do you mean? Well, you're looking at me appendages? No, we're not. Why not? Don't you find me attractive? Oh, I'm just being a gentleman. Stuff that for a lot. I'm wearing stockings and suspenders for a reason, you know? I haven't got any talent. I can't bloody sing. So you've just got to look at me and think, oh, she's sexy. Because we know that rock and roll sells sex. Rock and roll's function was literally to get your disposable income out of your pocket and into theirs. That's why we never found out some of the real stories about, like the Beatles. No recreational drugs, there wouldn't have been any Beatles. I played at the Albert Hall. Milmus Brown stole half my pension. Alan, don't worry. So's Rachel Reeves with a big black hole. I'll certainly fill it. I'm not going to tell you what with, though. Terry Wookfit, Paul Heaton, fantastic artist, singer and songwriter. I agree, Terry. Completely agree. And when I met the House Martins, Fatboy Slim was there, Paul Heaton was there. They'd come into the radio station, Radio Tees, I think it was then, and they came in for an interview. And it was just, we've got this band from Hull. They've come up from Hull, and so and so who's doing the evening show. He's going to interview them. I was his gopher, so I was getting stuff, cups of coffee for the guests and stuff, and spoke to them. And they were so shy. I mean, like painfully shy. But then you see them on stage. Cool, blimey, bit of a personality there. Hang on a second. Where's Andrew James gone? Don't know what he said. I don't think I look sexy wearing stockings and suspenders. Well, it depends which part of the country you're in, Terry. Scotland, no, they prefer you in full woolly back with shouting, meh. That'll upset the Scots. Kids think they can make millions as pop stars, but in reality, they come away with absolutely bagger all. I know the managers make more money. That's what I was saying. The record companies. How can the record companies make all these millions when nobody's making music? It's all being streamed, and the artists are making more money from doing live shows than flogging vinyl. Paul Weller. Oh, yes. Says Karina Jane. Is that Paul Wells or Paul Weller? Karina Jane. Napoleon blown apart. The week after I saw Supertramp, I saw Vinegar Joe. Elkie Brooks and Robert Palmer. Robert Palmer, one of my favourite vocalists, because he was just too cool. He went and did the Tube, and he was doing an interview, and literally he was wearing thick mohair suit, and he had all the TV lights on him, and he was just. And I thought, I want to be you when I grow up. You're too cool. But what a vocal. Every kind of people. It's one of those songs that you kind of instantly recognise. And you forget how good Robert Palmer's vocals were. And Elkie Brooks, yeah, wasn't my favourite. There was just her vocal style. But Robert Palmer, oi. I'm not in that that video with all the models in. Addicted to Love. It was okay. It was just pop. But ahead of that, he made some wonderful songs. A bit like Supertramp. You just and Robert Palmer's been dead quite a few years. Lived out in the Bahamas or something. And did he go with a heart attack? I think he might have done. Nicky Watson, hello, Nicky. Welcome to the Body of the Kirk. Robert Palmer didn't mean to turn you on. Steady on, Karina. That's very clever. Terry Wookfit, Brian Ferry from Washington. I mean, but again, he didn't have to say anything. Just look at the camera. The camera loved him because he was a very handsome man. But sometimes, a bit like, I would suggest, not that, I'm out, but no wonder women went mad for certain male singers. So Brian Ferry, because he was just, pulling Jerry Hall as his main squeeze. The boy had it. The boy had it all. Looks, talent, everything. And Roxy Music, who a lot of other artists cite as an influence. But I would suggest two of the best-looking men, apart from David Sylvian from Japan. Can you remember David Sylvian as Japan's lead singer? Mick Karn was great on the bass for Japan. Is it not Life in Tokyo? Is it Life in Tokyo? And I would say, in my view, you can tell me whether it was Bruce Hornsby and The Range, Garen. Do you know, that was the song the other day that I was thinking of, Grandstand, where they always used to start with Bruce Hornsby and The Range. That's just the way it is. And Des Lynham just voice over it. And I just thought, oh, God, if only to do that. I preferred Brian singing Jealous Guy to John Lennon. Interesting, Alan. Yes, very good version. But in my view, the two best-looking guys in music virtually ever, Bros, the Goss brothers. I met them at Radio City in Liverpool, and it was like, holy Jesus. When God looked down, he decided you two were going to be the best-looking blokes on the planet. The women, they were... I've been around Take That when the women stormed the stage, but the women around the Goss brothers, Bros, they literally would have torn them limb from limb. Kiki D was great. Yeah. 1-0 to England. Thank you, Super Ted. Fatal Racing Driver sent you the email of my painting just now, Adrian. Brilliant. Thank you, Fatal Racing Driver. Look forward to reading that and seeing that when I finish. Luke and Matt Goss, yes, Terry Wookfit. They were, and literally the women were going to pull the building apart brick by brick to get at them. It was that mad on Stanley Street in Liverpool. It was just madness, utter madness. Oh yeah, Lionel Layton. I did gigs at the time when the ladies went mad for David Essex. He was. Good-looking swine, talented. David Essex and Paul who went on to do acting on the BBC. Paul, oh man, can't think of his second name. I can see him. Can't remember his songs. Yeah. So anyway, I want to tell you about. I was going to ask you about guilty pleasure songs, but we've spent a long time on bits of music. So I want to get to some stuff that you're going to find quite interesting and get value from. So, you know, the BBC Director General, he's called Tim Davies. Well, it's come out today. Not out, just out. It's come out today that the BBC's Director General, Tim Davies, has admitted that there could be more high-profile presenter scandals at the BBC. What, like Sue Edwards? So high-profile presenters are going to come out, abusing their positions. What, missionary? Doggy? What about ex-BBC presenters? Are they going to be outed? I mean, do they have to be current BBC presenters or ex-BBC presenters? That's where we got the Battenberg story from. I don't think that. Can you imagine if I listened to the BBC's DG, Tim Davies, say, thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for the cup of tea and slice of Battenberg. My work here would be done. I would just go to heaven, because that's where I'm going. I'll be going to heaven, play me harp, wear me wings and me halo, and that would be it. I would be as happy as just to hear the words, anyone for Battenberg, out of Tim Davies' mouth. So seemingly that's what he's admitted today, that there are other high-profile BBC presenters going to come out. There's going to be more scandals. Oh, I say, what-o? Should we talk about, he's backdoor Charlie. I mean, he's got us into BBC local radio, so boring now. Stephen Hall, he wasn't when I was there, that's for sure. Oh, I could tell you some stories, but I would get chucked off YouTube, so I can't. I sanitise the Battenberg story for you. But there's more than that. I mean, there was wife swapping at BBC Leicester, from what I remember. It was called BBC Radio Leicester, and there was a man and wife couple where he liked hiding in the wardrobe to watch the old girl get a good pounding from randoms, and there was and he hid behind a tree regularly so that she could go and do the dance in some long grass somewhere with somebody who was looking if I could euphemistically put, she liked her bananas green. So it all kicked off. I mean, just put BBC Radio Leicester and swinging. I'm sure they'll come up, or caught in the long grass, or hiding behind a tree, or in the wardrobe on a Saturday night. It's all, I mean, there's loads of it. I mean, I'm trying to think of some stories that I can kind of sanitize and be able to tell you, but I'm telling you now. Just... I won't tell you which BBC radio station, but a nightclub was raided, and a BBC presenter was found, how can I say this, in the room with all the glory holes. Not going to say any more than that. You could choose from 1,000 of them, and I will not identify any single person, but it was... I mean, we used to, in commercial radio, we used to think, the BBC presenters, I mean, they're a bit dull, aren't they? We're the rock and roll boys. And he was found in a room with loads of glory holes. Well, I never. Don't Google it. Especially when you've got people around, because A, it'll make your hair curl, and B, it might traumatise you. So I'm not going to tell you any more than that. Stuart says, oh, Christ. I see you said Tom, because they can. And Amalia... Paul Simonon, Adamant, James Maynard Keenan, Chris Cornell, good singer. Robert Plant, one of the best. Sid Vicious, and that's the tip of the iceberg. But Robert Plant, I mean, I would say that him and Jimmy Page, well, it was all four of them. They were all wonderfully talented. But Plant just used to stand there He didn't have to sing anything. He didn't have to say anything. And I remember somebody once said that he was, doing the dance backstage and didn't know what to wear to go out on stage. So the lady that he was having a dance with, he just nicked her blouse and wore her blouse, which was obviously 2 or 3 sizes too small for him, but he just wore it. But it just worked. That's, exuding sex appeal. I mean, when Plant walked into the room, even the chairs crossed their legs. He was that, just everything. And Sid Vicious, well, he was a bad boy. Adrian, who was the best radio DJ in your opinion? Ooh, that is a tough question. Ooh, I can't even. So we'll start at night, going down to breakfast. At night, for varying reasons, I call him the king. As the king, it's James Stanage. But sadly, James Whale was put to rest yesterday. James Whale was one of the best. Scotty's one of the best. Alan Robson would have to be up there in the top 3. So you've got so many, and you've got the LBC boys, Caesar for what he did and then what he didn't do. He's not the first he was one of the first radio presenters to go to prison. But Caesar was a great character. David Graham saying John Peel, no. Simon Bates, fondle my bollocks. DLT, well. Peter Powell and Steve Wright. I think, you see, I've worked with so many greats. There's a guy on Greatest Hits called Simon Ross, and he's still going. What a boy. He's still going, and he's been in radio, Jesus, 40 years, 35, 40 years, early to mid-90s. He was friends with Lenny McLean, the governor. But Rossi has a certain je ne sais quoi. But Mike Toolan, that I work with at Rock FM, he was one of the first that I worked with who did the kind of wind-up calls. You've been Toolanized. He was brilliant. He's probably still on the radio somewhere. My old friend, I know him as Showbiz, a guy called Kev Seed from Liverpool, was just a force of nature. And Showbiz and I used to have just incredible laughs. There was the Metro boys from Metro Radio, Campy Coleman and Nicky Brown. Nicky Brown was way ahead of his time doing evenings. He was brilliant. He's doing PR or something now, and on Steve Wright's afternoon show, I used to hear him every now and again. But there's so many different flavours of radio presenter, and I've just mentioned a few. There are obviously other greats, and some of them will be pointing at the bloody TV screen. Oi, you tart, mention me. I've worked with so many, but I'm trying to think. Savile wasn't. Savile was just filth. And my mate Nick Piercy, who's not in radio anymore, I think he's living in France, we just had the most fantastic time. And the guy called Simon Parkin, if you can remember Simon came to TFM as it was, really early doors in his career, and then went off to do the Broom Cupboard at the BBC, and he's still doing radio. I think he's on the BBC somewhere. But I literally could mention dozens and dozens and dozens of people that are friends, that have done their radio presenting slightly different from everybody else. Graham Robb on Radio Tees, if you can remember him. He was a groundbreaking presenter and just insanely funny. And Alistair Pirrie, I don't know whether you can remember him from, was it Razzmatazz on Tyne Tees Television? I could bore you to death with radio and radio presenters and why they were good. The Nationals, well, I would say Gary Davies, because he, for me, is one. It's called talking to time. It's a skill where, say you've got an intro on a record of 43 seconds. the presenter will fill that 43 seconds and talk until 43 seconds is complete. And it just sounds as if they're talking to you like this, but they're not. He's watching that clock and he's counting down and counting down. And he used to work with a stopwatch. So he was one of the most adept and clever talkers to time I've ever seen in the radio industry. Steve Wright, of course, Bates, mid-morning. I mean, our tune is just legendary. Kenny Everett, yes, of course, but I never met Kenny, and he was kind of before me, but I would agree, yes, absolutely. There's some great soul presenters that never get a mention. I mean, you've got the kind of luminaries called Pete Tong, but there was my mate Kenny James in the Northwest. He was in the Northwest and I was doing the Northeast. My mate Tim Smith, who was also a soul boy. So there's so many of them. I could bore you to death with all of this. But 30 years ago since Kenny Everett died. Wow, David. Terry Wogan was hilarious. Yes, he was. Very adept. I mean, see, Wogan was smooth. He was laconic, laid back and smooth. Some were, like Timmy Mallet, were a bit more manic and up and in your face. That's why a load of them ended up on TV, because they were just talented. I see where Adrian gets his quick flick brain from now. I see, well, what do you mean? I inherited it, not from my dad. He was as thick as pig shit. Get a defendant. Keith Skews, yes, of course. I was a big Caroline Anorak. So Keith Skews, yeah. Martin Collins after 10 p.m. Capital. Karina Jane, let me tell you, I used to commute in London in the mid-90s. I was working in PR in London. And I would say Martin Collins was, he nailed every single voiceover. And he was just, as a presenter, so tight. And you could hear the skill. And I'm sure he's still the same, because listening between 5 and 7 on the early breakfast show, he was exactly the right kind of presenter. And the guy that was heading up Capital at the time was Richard Park. I'll tell you a story about him in a second. And Martin Collins, I used to listen to him. I'll get to Phil Levan as well about Roger Augustus. But Martin Collins was so basically, if you're a presenter, you've got the back end of a song and then you've got the next song. So you've got sort of two mountains here and you've got to fill the valley. And it's called forward progression. And Martin Collins was one of the best, if not the best, at forward progression. You'd suddenly back off the back of the song. He was already into the intro. He's just talking like I am to you. And then bang, there you go. Vocal started. And you could listen to an hour of radio and not realise you'd been listening to an hour. That's how skillful Martin Collins was and is. Phil Levan talked about Roger Augustus. Phil Levan, have you looked into taking calls, Adrian? Roger Augustus will just phone in and drone on for hours. If you look at, there's a playlist here with some of my radio stuff, and I have got a load more archive that I am going to put up there. Roger Augustus was just the funniest thing. I think there's a real tear-up, a real argument between him and I, and then him trying to say scum sucking pond life in 2001, 2002, just the funniest thing. And look, I'm not bigging myself up. It was Roger that was the comedy gold, not me. But and he's still around, I think. I've still got his telephone number somewhere. Here's a phone-in bloke, Roger from Bristol. That's the one. Phil Levan, that's the one. Maybe we'll just for old time's sake get him on and have a row. And Roger loved it just as much as me. He loved coming on and being contentious and getting everybody riled up. He was a genius, a genuine genius. And everybody in radio, some of the national stations used him. He was just brilliant. Terry Wogan nicked my bike and buckled it at a charity BBC footy match. Napoleon blown apart. I hope you kicked him in the spokes. The video of Roger trying to say scum sucking pond life had me in stitches. Oh, it's wonderful. Tony Prince, the royal ruler at Luxembourg. I know Tony, met him quite a few times at the Disco Mix Club. And Tony, and sadly his wife Christine passed away a couple of weeks ago. But yeah, Tony Prince, great character. Wonderful. I mean, met Elvis. It's definitely a gift. Quick of engagement with brain and gob. Oh, you're very kind, I see you. I wonder if Adrian knows of Christopher Stone. Give me a clue, Lionel Layton. Give me a clue. I know Alan Stone, the singer. No, Alan. Yes, Alan Allen. So it's my surname. Has an insanely awesome voice. Christopher Stone. It rings a bell. Lionel Layton. Give me a hand though. Phone him now for a laugh. Is he? Sorry. Derek Tomlinson says Mike Toolan is in with Gemma Atherton on Hits Radio at tea time. Mike's a lovely guy. Lovely, lovely, lovely guy. Always got on with him, and his Toolanite stuff was ahead of the game. So I'm glad that he's still keeping the needles waggling. And if he watches this, Toolan, you're wrong. His apology was to take me in the changing room to get autographs while they were showering. Interesting, Napoleon blown apart. Did he give you his Bic to use? Tommy Boyd, yes, of course. Hewitt Super Sub, yes. Tommy is one of the legendary phone-in presenters because he was too intelligent for the audience. He was just... Tommy Boyd had a brain the size of 2 planets. And he was just... But you could tell when Tommy was... He was dry. So he would say something and the audience would think, does he mean that? He's really intelligent, but does he mean that? Was he... And I could tell he'd close the microphone and be laughing his head off. But a great practitioner. Skilled practitioner. Phil Levan says, I think you got Roger and Mel. Oh, yeah, in the playlist. Yes. What was Mel's payoff? Roger, I don't think you could fuck a pig. I'm sure it was... and I can hear Roger laughing his head off because he loved it. He loved the cut and thrust of the jousting arena. Steve Penk, wind-ups on Capital. Yeah, I'll reserve my judgment, Karina Jane. He was very, very good. But... and what's his face on Talk TV now? Jeremy Kyle. He worked at Century in Manchester while I was at Century 106 in the East Midlands. So he's got radio in his blood, and I can see why he went back to radio and once he stopped doing telly for a couple of years. Derek Tomlinson says, I did volunteer on BFBS in Cyprus for 2 years. Screwed me back, timing up many times. Oh, there's nothing worse, Derek. Nothing worse. I remember I was working with a guy called Mark Gregory, who did the rock show on Radio Tees, a guy called Andy Hollins, who now lives in America, and who works on like these massive TV shows, like the biggest TV shows in America. And there was a guy called Ed Harwood. And the reason I'm getting this mixed up was he started at Metro, and he singularly was one of the nicest guys, funniest guys, brilliant guys to work with that you would ever meet in radio or any other walk of life. And how he came to my attention, he came down in commercial production at Radio Tees. He'd come down from Metro, and he was working with Mark Gregory and Andy Hollins and I. And on a Thursday night, I did this, it's called kind of a round table. Remember round table on Radio 1? Well, it was that, reviewing records. And I'm using Mark Tomlinson's, was it Mark Tomlinson? Let me just have a look. Derek Tomlinson, thank you, Derek. I'm just using Derek's kind of prompt that I had all my records back timed. And as the last song was playing, I said, look, lads, just film me 30 seconds. I've got 2 and a bit minutes to go to the news, the 10 o'clock news. Just give me 30 seconds each. So I went to Mark Gregory. Mark, when's the next time you're on the radio? I've done the rock show on Saturday night. Got this. Filled about 25 seconds. Brilliant, Mark. Thank you. Andy, when's the next time you're on? I'm doing mid-mornings in the morning. We've got so-and-so guests, and we've got this and that and the other. He did about 25 seconds, so I'm thinking, right, I'm 10 seconds late. And I said to Ed, what you got on next? Sorry, when are you on next? He said the 3rd week of every month, but I think I'm all right tonight. I mean, if you understand the gag, then, I mean, we just burst out laughing. And for 90 seconds, it was just non-stop hilarity and laughing. Nobody could speak. And Ed was that quick, funny, and part of the thing that endeared me to him, he's not around anymore, sadly. The people in Newcastle, they called him Ed Hardwood, Ed Headboard, Neddy Headboard, Neddy Cheeseboard. So he came down to tease and we were like, what the bloody hell's your name? He said, oh, you can call me anything. I said, right, Neddy Cheeseboard is going to stick. So we just used to call him Neddy Cheeseboard on air. Because even if we called him his real name, Ed Harwood, nobody got it right. So we may as well call him Neddy Cheeseboard. What a great name for the radio. So again, there's all these, I'm being very kind to these characters because they were very kind to me. There was some Napoleon Bonaparte. Ian Collins was a late night presenter at Radio Kent. I think he was at War with Caesar. Ian Collins is he on Talk now? I'm sure he was on LBC at some point, and he was on Talk Radio at some point. Ian Collins was a great radio person. Great, skilled practitioner. I remember Tony Prince crying his eyes out when he announced the death of Elvis Presley back in 1977. Yes, Reg D. He's got pictures of him with the King. Alan Robson on Night Owls is a North East legend. Agreed. King Treble 7. Agreed. And it's a shame that Alan isn't doing Night Owls anymore. That's where James Whale got his start. And Alan was... Alan brought a huge audience into Metro. But, times change, and Alan's still doing his ghost hunts and stuff. But I remember listening to Alan when he was a young guy. I was still at school. But it's that theatre of the mind. It's late night radio, and it's magical. It's romantic. It's magical. You can't see anyone, but you can create these images in your head as you're listening. Who else? A bit of cheek, but I'm saying but hang on. Bit of a cheek, but I'm saying saving up to buy a keyboard, no room for a real piano. However, I want to learn piano. What should I start off with? A little one. Size Queen. Mike's Alligators. I've got the... Look, for anybody that's just tuned in, I've been to the doctors, I've got steroids, and I've got what are they? I'm going to change. Moxicillin. So, antibiotics. And give me a couple of days and I'll be fine. Right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to call let me just have a quick think, because I wanted to talk about Starmer, Madeleine McCann, Israel, France is buggered, proper buggered, loads of other stuff. Let me save that for tomorrow night, and I promise you, because this cough is getting the better of me tonight, I will do a full 2-hour live tomorrow night that you can... Terry Wookford, do you cough when you're away from the computer? Yes, sadly. And as I said to the doctor today, it's only when I speak. It's literally, I can sit there in my own peace and quiet, won't cough once. And as you can see with the Janet Percival interview on Sunday night, that live, I didn't cough once because I wasn't speaking. And when I was, there were one breath questions, so Janet could do all the talking. And wasn't she wonderful? What a great interviewee. I was very, very blessed and very lucky to have Janet on the show on Sunday. Thought perhaps it was all the talking that does it. It is, Amalia. So, but give it 2 or 3 days. By the time the amoxicillin's kicked in and the steroids, what the bloody... I've got to stick that up my nose. Bloody hell, Sniffy be round knocking on the door. It's reflux. Is it really? I see you. Get some Benylin. Oh, knocks me out. It's the original as well. I was only allowed a small bottle. Okay. Thank you, Derek. Thank you. I think we'll call it a night now. But we've got one more live to do this week, and I want to cram as much in as I can tomorrow night. I will have a look at my archive, see if there's any other calls that I can put up in the radio listing. There's a radio playlist on the channel of some of my archive. But I'm going to go. I've run out of hibiscus. I need to wax my throat. Right, thank you, everyone. Thank you for being there tonight. Thank you to those that have supported the channel financially this evening. I really do appreciate it. Thank you for your likes. Smash the likes. Bloody hell, tough audience tonight. Smash the likes on your way out of the body of the Kirk if you don't mind. Thank you for your likes, your subscriptions, but most of all, your indulgence. Wherever you go and whatever you do, please be safe, be well. Take some emergency Battenberg with you. It always works. And this is not a show, The Theatre of the Mind, live. It's a mission towards the truth. And the mission continues Wednesday night, 7:15 for the parish notes, 7:30 for the actual show to start. Be well. See you tomorrow night, 7:30.